branch has the gun, the other one's holding the door, the other one's driving the car. I mean, that's what's going on here.
But one hand is whitewashing the other across the
Right, and that's what we have to do. If we don't do something about this, you know, we're heading, you know.
Why fight, Brian? Why not give it up? I mean, seriously, you've been slapped on the wrist, you've been hit in the head, so to speak, and you're still up here speaking to us about this. Why not just retire, go to Pennsylvania, and let somebody else worry about it? Why put your neck on the line? Seriously, why continue to fight?
Thank you, Gracie. No, because, you know, the mistake that they made, if they're going to do what they did to me and take everything I have, you know, my wife miscarried because of this. I lost her, you know, I lost everything. You can't do that to a woman, you know, a mother. You know, I had a nice life. And I said, I have something I have to stand on here, and I stood, and I got wiped out. But the problem for them is that they, you know, bluntly speaking, they should kill me. You don't do what you did to me and not completely eliminate me. If you send me into exile, which they did, you know, I'll come back, or at least I will. And if I don't do anything, then I have to live with that.
If you want to share a story, I'll share you a story. Yes, they do kill people. Yes, they do.
Right.
I mean, I had a situation where I was forced off a three-way highway by a van that was following me, and they almost killed me. And this is just last year, and when I got calls afterward from a network of people who wanted me on their radio shows, and they had documentary evidence of other people that the Republican Party basically hires the mafia to do undercover stuff to target the individuals to get rid of it, and they, in this particular case, it was Bucks County and the GOP and the connection with organized crime in that county. And I had become a threat to that county and to those leaders, and they wanted me out, and they succeeded. Because then I have to ask myself, is it worth my life to continue to fight? And the answer was no, it's not worth my life in my decision making when I was facing that. Because you know, you can tell 5% it was coincidence, 95% if a van's following you in the middle lane, when it's following you for a half mile, when it doesn't leave, when you beep your horn, when it continues to come into you and forces you off the road as it did, and then I careened against 3 lanes of traffic, and only by God's will that I survived. You ask yourself, if it's worth that much to them, if life is so cheap, is it really worth the fight? So my question was very legitimate to you. They will kill you at the next step,
Now, look,
potentially.
When that moment comes, and it happens, I'll let you know if I shouldn't have done it. Until that time, no, I don't want to sound flippant, but you know, I'm going to die. What is it? Churchill said, "A coward dies 1,000 deaths. A brave man only dies once." So I'll die once. Okay. When? Where? Maybe it's out of my. You know, it's probably out of my hands. You're still here, by the way.
I am.
You know, you're not exactly a potted plant.
No, I'm not.
What is that? You know, and so you're here, and you look what you're doing with me now. Maybe you're helping me because but that's fine. You know, you've been in the
No, I admire you. The fact that you're willing to step forward, that you're willing to fight. This is why I would do everything I can to help you.
But again, I didn't realize if you go out there and you open your mouth, you'll be surprised who'll be out there to help you. But they're just maybe, you know, waiting for someone else to come along. Pete Fiorello, you know, he's a retired New York City detective. I mean, the stuff that he does, you know, he's been pointing this out, and he's a retired detective. You would think, I've asked him all the time, Pete, why would you, what, aren't you afraid? He told me there was one thing he'd be afraid that they could do to him. He wouldn't tell me what it was.
Maybe his family. Maybe his family.
Well, you know what? They put his son-in-law in jail.
Maybe take his pension.
Maybe. You know, again, every man has his own, you know, thing that he fears having done to him. I'm gonna, you know, I'll tell you right now. They put me in jail 2 years ago for traffic tickets. I did a day and 2 days in Nassau County. And, yeah, tough. I've been through it. I've been to the big house. But you know, I'm afraid to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. You know, especially for something that I didn't do. You know, which is what they do out in Suffolk County. Marty Tankleff. You guys remember that name?
Yeah.
That's Spoder in the gang. That was Spoder in the gang. That was all over cocaine being run by Jerry Stuerman. Tankliff's father was the financier. He didn't know about the cocaine trafficking. The cocaine was going to all the judges and bigwigs in Suffolk County. And then the cop that grabbed them, and Spoda was in the background. And Tankliff got out, what, a year and a half ago? And we thought Marty Tankliff would come forward and do some things, He's supposedly he's getting his law degree, I guess. He was talking about running for DA in Suffolk. That would be great, but I don't think he wants to go through that again, People think I'm nuts. They know what happened to me. My friends and family know what happened to me. They said, why are you going back for it? Okay, all right, maybe there's some psychiatric evaluation that needs to go on here. But again, what's the alternative? To sit at home and cower in the shadows? I'm afraid of that. I am afraid of that. I don't want. How do I live the remaining days of my life if I know that I've run from it? You know what? When I went in the Marine Corps, because I wanted to see if I had the guts to go into combat and kill or be killed. I never got that far. Maybe I can't. Maybe I'll run or something. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. That's all.
Any other questions?
Well, we did more discussion, obviously, it's a very big topic. Maybe people still have some stories about corruption. I remember close room, with the Fight 800, there was, I saw it several places, sort of one of the press conferences where he gave a daily or weekly rundown of the status of the investigation or the cover-up or whatever. One journalist stood up and asked a question about evidence of the plane explosion via missile. Right. And he just simply pointed to the guys and get him out of here. And enforcement, whoever was security for the meeting, dragged him out voluntarily out of the room. And then he said, "Next question."
That's my brother. My brother. Let me tell you something. That's one of the things my brother could do. And he was right there with Kallstrom. He was the guy usually at the press conferences to his right. And my relationship, my brother he's covered up. That's all. He was always covering stuff up when we were kids. Just covered things up.
We libertarians believe that Kennedy was killed by the Federal Reserve Bank.
Okay.
Now, most people think it's preposterous, but just before he died, he signed a presidential order having the Treasury print money and give it directly to the government instead of giving it to the Federal Reserve Bank, which means the beginning of the end of the Federal Reserve system.
Right.
Okay. Right after that, he got a hold of it.
Yeah.
And there's 15 layers of people that were involved, and that's why they can't solve it, and nobody wants to solve it, because everybody's on the tape in government from the Federal Reserve Bank.
Who in this room thinks that the official story is the actual story with the Kennedy assassination? Raise your hand. I don't know what conspiracy.
Nobody had a better reason to kill him than the Federal Reserve Bank, who was into it for trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. You know how the Federal Reserve Bank works?
Yes. No, and
the Treasury prints the money.
Uh-huh.
They give it free to the Federal Reserve Bank.
Right.
Then they lend it back to the government for interest.
Right, which is minimal. No, I know. Is it a Ponzi scheme? I don't know what that means.
It's just out and out robbery.
Well,
That's what it is.
whatever.
Well, the government makes billions and billions of dollars for banking interests around the country and around the world. They do the same formula elsewhere. I guess it's enforced like a mafia situation. And some have argued that President Lincoln, a century before Kennedy, decided to fund the Civil War with greenbacks as opposed to going to the banks, because banks wanted too much interest. And he got a hole in his head, didn't he? Right after the war.
Well, look, powerful people.
Jackson said, "I'm going to get rid of the Federal Reserve Bank. They're going to try and kill me." Four attempts on his life, but he got rid of the Federal Reserve Bank.
Okay, look, powerful people, again, that's, absolute power, absolutely, corrupts, and this is what we got to do. This is what's going on right now. There's just our government, our servants, we're the servants now. We're under the yoke. They've got us, and we got to change the dynamic back to the way it was supposed to be, or maybe it was, or maybe I'm delusional or whatever. But we got to get back to the original intent, and Kennedy thing, I don't believe, you know, where's the conspiracy? There was a conspiracy, I just don't know which one it is. You know, the Flight 800, you know, that's, you know, just on that note, let's say it's, for discussion's sake, I believe it was a shoulder-fired missile from a boat on the bay, and they blow it up, you know, and it's a cell of Al-Qaeda or whatever. Clinton doesn't want to go to war. He sends all the black suit people in to cover the thing up. What if the truth was told? Let's just say, for argument's sake, what if it was admitted that it was Bin Laden in '96? Then Clinton's forced to go after Bin Laden in '96, and Bin Laden doesn't get another 2 cracks at us, including 9/11. You know what I'm saying? If we put him on the run sooner. So Clinton decided, let's just say, that we needed to be lied to for our own good, so we trust government. But, you know, I mean, this is what they do, and if we don't hold them, we don't get them by the electoral throat.
And you know, you just reminded me of something. I have a friend, he's Jewish, a conservative Jew, and he argues with his liberal Jewish friends. And he says, at some point they tell him, you know, there's some things the public shouldn't know. You know? And so I just told him, the reply to that is, yeah, that's what Hitler told the German people when he was exterminating all the Jews. There's something you shouldn't know.
Right, well, and, you know, absolutely, and Hitler, you know, he clamped down on the citizens, he took their rights away, and some of the best Germans left and came back and helped beat them, you know, I mean, that's what will happen to us, you know, if we go to this police state, or whatever it is they're looking to impose upon us, you know, it's just, we're gonna lose the whole meaning of why the country was started in the first place, and the greatness of it will be just a distant memory.
My own theory about Clinton in '96 was he was stuck up in Benghazi on his watch. He didn't, but close to the elect, he didn't want an embarrassing situation like that to happen. Because the other theory was that our government was practicing a naval exercise, but they were doing too close to the regular commercial space and hitting the plane. And he didn't want to explain that to the public. He'd get dumped out of office.
If it was shot, if it was an accident, a military accident, which that theory has been, I've heard that one. You know, if you come out and say, look, we made a mistake. We're human. Let's deal with it. That can be dealt with.
He was too afraid of people saying, it doesn't matter, it happened on your watch, you running a military this incompetently, out you go.
But couldn't you just fired a couple of generals and said that these idiots did it? It's
And
a horrible
what
thing.
would Obama have done in September if he said, whoops, about Benghazi, you know? Instead of covering it,
I'm
he
no
had to cover it
fan
up.
of the administration, Hillary Clinton, but you know, whatever. I mean, we could get into. Look, how can we protect every embassy? They're going to hit us. You know, we have to be ready to take a hit. You know, if we're just constantly, we just don't.
Video.
Sorry.
Don't say it was the video that
Well,
caused it.
why, as you were saying, but why did they do that? For political reasons.
That poor man is in jail, and then all these other people are running around that bombed the embassy. It's ridiculous.
I know, but now they're caught up. They're caught up in having to have, you know, once you start the lie rolling down the hill, you know, it picks up a lot of friends and hell, you know, it gets bigger and bigger. And, you know, again, if we just be honest, the American people, not only are forgiving, you know, you know, we can understand. We put the facts before us, we're probably going to make the right conclusion and decision. But these guys, these new, you know, they'll lie to us all the time. It's like my friend in the FBI. He says, Brian, the FBI doesn't even know what the truth is anymore. They're just lying, you know, and lying. And, you know, Kevin's
He's
retired.
another capable of a cover-up in a sense. During World War II, Hitler was a monster. He killed 10 million people. Our ally, Stalin, killed 30 million people. But he was a good guy.
Well,
But he was a good guy.
That's wrong. I mean, what are we going to say?
And nobody ever said that Stalin killed 30 million people.
No, that was unfortunate. Yes, sir.
A few minutes ago you said that maybe Clinton should have gone after bin Laden, but from everything I've read, it seems like bin Laden had nothing to do with 9/11. And I believe that the real reason for calling it the war on terror is to take our liberties and freedoms.
You know what? You may be right, sir.
So they start with that lie, and the real purpose for that lie is to take our liberty and freedom.
I have no monopoly on the truth. I don't know. I'm just talking what I can come up with in my own, by my own eyes. I mean, you know, the plane blew up. Did it blow up because of the fuel tanks? No, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it wasn't that reason. They didn't. They didn't redesign the fuel tanks. There was no, you know, it might not have been Bin Laden. It's just, that's what I'm.
Another reason I think I'm right about the fact that they made up that